Canada sees a drop in total jobs for the first time in over 3 years. Interest rates get cut by 0.25%, and sales in real estate are way down. But prices are remaining relatively the same. Today we're going to do an overview of basically all of Southern Ontario, or whatever the Toronto Real Estate Board covers. So taking a look at this chart right here, we have Toronto and GTA total inventory and sales. We can see in the last 3 months that our inventory, this blue bar over here, has been creeping up over the last 4 months, since December 2024. Sales, which is the orange bar on the bottom over here, has barely been rising. Yes, there is a slight increase, as is to be expected with the spring market. However, overall, the sales is not catching up with the amount of inventory. This red line here at the top is the average selling price of homes that are listed. And yeah, you can see that from March last year, 2024, there is a slight dip downwards, but the overall trend has kind of balanced out. We almost have a straight line here. My name's Denis Soldo, your favorite Toronto realtor, and today we're taking a look at April's market stats. So I am creating this channel to try and be as helpful for you guys as possible. If you look down below at the information in the description, you'll see that I have an instant home evaluation link available. You just click that link, it'll take you to this website, you type in your address here, and it'll start to auto-populate for you where you could select your home. Yeah, you are gonna have to give me your number and your name, but that's just so that people don't use this site to keep on spamming their addresses, as they get a lot of those. I'll probably give you a quick call just to ask what you think about the number, and we'll go from there. And if you want and have more detailed questions, you could schedule a Zoom call here with me. Click that link right there. We could book a 30-minute one-on-one over Skype or whatever you prefer, and get to know what your goals are and what's going on from there. Feel free to pause the video at any moment. You could also scan the QR code, and that'll take you directly to that home evaluation site. All right, so in today's video, we are covering everything that my real estate board, the Toronto Real Estate Board, covers, which is basically almost all of Southern Ontario. As you can see on this map, it is a ginormous area. Take a look over here at Toronto. It doesn't even cover a quarter of the entire surface area, but the Toronto market makes up about half the stats here. So keep that in mind as we go over everything. All right, so you can see here, March 2025 compared to March 2024 last year. Sales is down. Average price is basically the same. We have a 23.1% drop in sales from this time last year, and only a 2.5% drop in the average price. Taking a look at the Toronto active listings versus the month of inventory, just like how we did in the beginning, you can clearly see a trend here. Our inventory keeps on rising, which means our months of inventory is also rising because sales just cannot keep up. If you take a look at this time last year, all the way at the beginning bar over here, yes, last year people did think it was still a slow market, and it was a slowing market, but it was basically still a seller's market at that point compared to where we're at now. You can see the number here, 2.4. That means that we had about 2.4 months worth of inventory before all the inventory would sell out, assuming no new listings would come on the market. Going over this year, we have literally doubled. We are now entering a balanced market. Anything from between 4 to 7 months would be considered a balanced market. Below that, you're looking at a seller's market, and above that, obviously a buyer's market. We're on a trajectory here to keep on rising if things hold the same and go towards a buyer's market. This is actually a good thing for Toronto right now, as a lot of people need to enter the market and buy homes. We now have plenty of options available. And if you want to take a quick pause here, you could read this entire thing. This is just a quick blurb from the Toronto Real Estate Market Report of April. I'm just going to read this part here because I thought it was kind of funny. Home ownership has become more affordable over the last 12 months. I don't know what kind of stats they're looking at, but a 2.5% drop, or about a $30,000 average right there. Technically, they're right. It is a little bit more affordable, but I don't think that's going to be making the difference of somebody who was holding out to buy a home to go and buy one right now. Continuing on here, we expect further rate cuts this spring. I would probably assume they're correct. If April has a rate cut, it's probably going to be another 0.25% to try and help the economy. Buyers will also benefit from increased choice. They're definitely right about that. Our inventory right now is just skyrocketing. We have a ton of new homes coming on the market, not enough people buying them, giving them greater negotiating power. This is very true. I mean, if you're trying to buy something right now, especially in the condo market, you have a ton of power right now. Feel free to negotiate a lot. Obviously, don't come in with a super lowball offer, because as you could see, the average price didn't come down as much. Landlords are still holding off as much as they can, but you can get a little bit off the tag, and you can negotiate things like the closing date that you want, any clauses that you want. Make sure you get that home inspection. Take 5 to 10 days to get a good lawyer to review your status certificate. Such things like this is obviously well needed right now, as before people were just buying practically sight unseen. To continue here, once consumers feel confident in the economy and their job security, home buying activity should improve. I think they're clearly talking about the trade wars going on right now between all the countries. Politics has everybody kind of on the fence with things right now. As of today, though, Trump did just put a 90-day pause on the tariffs. And if you follow the stock market, that was one of the biggest gains I've ever seen for NASDAQ and the SPY to happen in such a short time. Big green bars happening nonstop. So we're going to keep on moving on here. Like I said, you could pause the video and read the rest if you want. And we're going to take a quick look over here at the year-over-year summary. And keep in mind here, this is for the majority of Southern Ontario. Okay, so we can see as before, sales obviously way down, 23% lower. New listings way up, 28% more new listings this time than this time last year. Active listings has gone up by almost double, 88%. That is astronomically high, okay? And like I said, the average price has barely budged for the stats that we just talked about. Over here, the average listing days on market, I know it says 20% here, but an extra 4 days is nothing significant, to be honest with you. Before 2017, 24 days, 30 days, whatever. I mean, that was pretty much the standard. So I wouldn't be too concerned right there. Just to put those numbers back into perspective here, so you could see the chart, what we're talking about. Our inventory is just going up. We're going up. Our average sale price is basically staying the same. The amount of sales is not really increasing here. All right, some more KPIs here for everybody, just so that we could have a visual of what is going on in the overall market. Yeah, the numbers here, I mean, you can't really pinpoint the data. However, this is just for visual, so you can get a broader sense of what's happening. Average price, barely moving. New listing volume, we are now starting to increase, and it's just on a trajectory. It looks like it's going to go higher and higher, which means that the active listings is also going higher and higher, because sales is pretty stagnant right now. Transaction volume is the number of sales that is currently happening. It's lower this month than compared to this time last year. Is it increasing? Very slightly, not nearly as rapidly as active listings and new listings especially. Months of inventory, you can see we're on a trajectory. We're just heading into a buyer's market. And the average list price is basically the same as the average price, because homeowners who are selling right now really do not want to budge. Yes, there is a slight decrease, but it's nothing very significant. So now we could take a look a little bit deeper here at the transaction price and the percentage change from the prior year. So the sale price, we said it came down about 2.5% year over year. We're right there. If you look at the bottom here, it's about minus 3% if we just factor in specific home types that I have on here. So I'm including things like detached, condo, townhomes, and semis. Those are your main four. Yeah, we can get into more specifics like link homes and condo towns and all that, but I wanted to get the bulk of the data here just to help you visualize. All right, now we can break down some further numbers where we're splitting Toronto, which is here 416, compared to basically everything else over here, which is the 905, okay? The main things that I want to focus on over here is the year-over-year percent change. And we're doing this by major home types so that you can get a clue on how the market can be different for every single different home type. And we're going to see that right here. It's very evident. If we look at detached homes in Toronto, they've only lost 10% of the amount of sales compared to the rest of the areas, which is at 30%. Toronto is showing that it is still very strong on its own. And if we look at the average price, actually, detached homes have increased in price in Toronto. So if you're looking to sell a detached home, it's still not all fear-mongering. You still can get a great price over there. The rest of the 905 and everything has come down, not too badly though, 4.3%. Semi-detached, this is where things get interesting, and this is why I like to break things down by home type. Semi-detached home sales in Toronto only dropped by 5.5%. Semi-detached homes in Toronto are still very much in demand. If you look at the rest of outside of Toronto, they went down by 22%, which is pretty significant. However, out of all the major home types, it is still the least. And you can also see that average home price has increased the most in Toronto by 2.6%. Okay, that's why it's very important to break down the data. You can't just look at one news headline and assume it's the same for everything. Every region, in fact, has its own market. And within every region, every city, and then within every city, even every community has its own market. Everything is different. So going further now, townhouses are down 21%, as well as condos are down 21%. And yeah, you can see that they have both lost some value. So why, looking at this data now, why has semi-detached stayed the strongest? Well, there's a lot of factors going on right now. People are afraid to buy condos right now with the way that things are going. They're afraid that their price is going to continue to drop. They're afraid that they might not be able to resell at what they purchased for. So if you're in Toronto, and on top of all that, actually, a lot of the inventory for condos is not suitable for somebody to start a family, right? They need a little bit more space. A lot of these condos on the market are these sub 500 square foot studios and bachelors, right? So if you are in Toronto and you're trying to start a family, you take a look over here at the average price in the top right. Okay, well, a condo, yeah, it's still a lot cheaper, but this is with all the pricing of the smaller studios and stuff where you cannot even raise a family. The next logical step would be, okay, let me get into a townhome. There's a lot more space there. However, you look at the price difference between the townhome and the semi-detached. Yes, 200,000 is a lot, but that is on average, remember. It's not too big of a jump though, especially with the new CMHC laws, which will insure you up to $1.5 million now. Anything above $1 million before was out of the question. You couldn't get insurance, you had to have a huge down payment. Now you don't. Now you can get into these semi-detached, and it looks like that is what's happening, and that's why they are still in demand. We're going to take a look quickly over here at the new listings volume by property type, just to see what is coming on the market compared to everything else. So the dark blue bars at the bottom here, that will be your detached homes. And then the in-between blue will be semi-detached. The lighter blue are townhomes. And then the purple is condos, okay? You can see that there is a ton of detached homes coming on the market right now. I mean, that is pretty obvious when we're looking at a general market update of almost all of Southern Ontario. As outside of Toronto, you're gonna mainly find suburbs. In the suburbs, mainly detached homes, right? All these condos here at the top, they're mostly coming from Toronto. But take a look at this. The middle blue here are the semi-detached. There's not too many of them coming on the market. So you now know that semi-detached is still in demand. They are holding their value, and not a lot of people are putting them up for sale, okay? We're gonna look at the current active listings now, just to give you some more numbers to look at here. There's a ton of detached currently on the market. There's a ton of condos currently on the market that nobody really wants to dive into. Townhomes are still relatively, not that much, but the semis, there is not a lot of semis currently on the market. Like I said before, there's a bit of a running theme here. If you have a semi-detached and you're looking to make a move for whatever reason it is, don't be afraid of the media right now. The data is here. We're just looking at the data together. It is showing you that now is still a good time to list your semi. Taking another look here just to dive further in, we'll take a look at the price range and the house type. Sorry that these bars are a little bit of a different color than the previous charts. There's nothing I could do about that, but it is what it is. Okay, so we can see that in between the 900 to the 1.5 million semi-detached homes are selling. Okay, this is the sweet spot for a semi-detached home right now. Condos, obviously, they're not doing too great. However, if you do have a condo that is livable, maybe at least a 1+1 in the $500,000 to $600,000 range, you are still going to sell. Okay, if you have a condo that's 2-bed, 3-bed, whatever, and it's anywhere from 600 to 800,000, you're probably still going to sell as well. Obviously, with the detached homes, we get into the further price range over here, the 1 million to the 1.25 million. Obviously, this is not going to be a detached home in Toronto. However, if you are in a suburb, these are still selling quite nicely. Take a look at the active listings right now per price range. Okay, it's basically the same thing. Once again, I apologize for these colors. I'll try to figure out a way how to get everything uniform. It's a little bit much to keep on looking at different colors here, but you could see that semi-detached homes here in the yellow, there's not too many of them, and they're still very much in high demand. Okay, so bit of a running theme again. Might be a good time to get your semi on the market. We're going to take a look at the overall months of inventory just to show you that it is on a trend, because I want to compare this to property type in the next slide here. Obviously, you can see that we are on a very big trend upwards. We're heading in towards more of a balanced and buyer's market, which is great. That's exactly what we need right now. It was too hectic before. Prices kept skyrocketing. Going on to the months of inventory by property type, however, take a look at these. The top one over here, this is the purple line. This is for condos. We are well into a buyer's market at this point pretty much, and the trajectory is still shooting up. Okay, like I said before, if you are somebody, you know, who is trying to enter the condo market, it is a good time. You have tons of choices, you have tons of negotiation power, and you could pretty much get the cream of the crop over here. On to the next one here, we have detached homes. Detached homes are now starting to enter into a balanced market as well. You could just take a look at all of these compared to last year. We were in a seller's market in 2023, and sorry, 2 years ago in 2023, even in 2024 here in this middling section, it was still very much a seller's market. And everyone was saying that the market was slowing down, slowing down, slowing down. But spring, which is obviously an active time for real estate, was still a seller's market. Now we're in spring again the following year, and we're on the full-blown buyer's market for condos, and we're in a balanced market for everything else except for semi-detached homes. Take a look at the bottom line right here. It's going downwards. I am telling you right now is a great time to sell your semi. If you're looking to buying a semi, it might be a little bit more competitive. You're better off going with, you know, a townhome at that point. If you're somewhat in a similar price range, maybe you find a nicer area that you like for the price of the semi. Get yourself into a town. But semis are definitely still holding value. They are definitely still very much in demand. We're going to take a look at all of this now in more of a numerical format in case that's your thing here. Basically, we just want to focus on these grayed out areas over here. March 2025 at the very top, we could compare it to March 2024 at the bottom. Sale volume, sales are down. Total dollar sales volume obviously is down if sales are down. Average selling price, barely much of a change over here, okay? We did lose $6,000 compared to last month, so it is going down slightly, but not enough to justify the number of sales that we're losing over here. New listing volume. This is a big one. We have so much new inventory entering the market compared to this time last year. Active listings almost doubled, 21,000 over here this month compared to last year at 13,000. Look at the months of inventory. Very much a seller's market last year. Things have just completely flipped on their head over here. And now we're going to break that down into property type, because like I said, it's very important to keep on breaking down the stats over here. So at the very top, we have what's going on currently, March 2025. And yes, I know this is an April update, but it's an April update because we just got to the end of March and we have that data now, okay? So we're looking at property type here, detached, sale volume, 1,000 less this month compared to this time last year. Semi-detached, only 100 less. Yes, it is still less, but the strength is still very, very much there. Townhouses of almost 200 less. Condo apartments, about 500 less. So there's a lot less people buying detached homes right now in this uncertain market because, you know, they are more expensive. Maybe they don't want to make a move just yet. But semi-detached here, again, I sound like a broken record. Still a great time to get on the market. We're going to move along here, and just one more reminder, if you wanted to get a value on that semi-detached, a quick little numeric value for you, just so you have a rough estimate, feel free to go to the link in the description and you can do so right there. Now, remember, we are talking about basically almost all of Southern Ontario here. And like I said, these numbers will be very different depending on where you live or where you are trying to live, okay? Like I said, all these regions down here, this is everything that my board covers. Dufferin, Durham, Halton, Peel, Simcoe, Toronto, York. Within each of these regions, you have these cities here. For example, in Peel, you have Caledon, Brampton, and Mississauga. And if you go even further, you will now have communities, and each of those communities have their own mini market of what is going on. So if you want to break into those stats and see how your community is doing, go ahead and scan this QR code, book a 30-minute call with me. It'll be really laid back. It'll just be me talking to you like this over Zoom, or we can meet up for a coffee, whatever you want to do. And I'll go into those stats that I have specifically for your area. All right, guys, that's it for today's video. I just wanted to drop a generalized market update so you could visualize and see what is happening currently with everything going on. If you did like the video, please do like and subscribe it, and stay tuned as I will be dropping more specific videos for each region in the next few days. We'll be doing Durham, Dufferin, Halton, Peel, Simcoe, Toronto, York. That way you'll have more of a acute idea of what is going on in your region. And then from there, like I said, feel free to book a call with me or send me an email, shoot me a text, whatever you want to do, and we could dive into your specific neighborhood. That's all for today. Peace out. Have a good night.